Hey, what's up you guys, it's Caboose bringing you another Marvel's Avengers video, and today what we're going to be doing is breaking down and talking about 10 characters that I would love to see or that need to be playable in Marvel's Avengers. Now before we get into everything, I wanted to ask you guys, of course, if you could leave a like rating on the video as it shows your support, and I would really appreciate it. So if you could leave a like, that would be awesome. And with that said, well, let's get into this. So I want to say, first things first, this is not the definitive top 10 list. Plenty of people out there, I'm sure most of you in the comments section, are going to have a very different list from me, and that's okay. You guys sounding off in the comments section and providing your opinion on the characters that you want to see playable in Marvel's Avengers is exactly what I'm looking for here. So don't take my list as the definitive top 10 list of playable characters to be in the game, although I'm pretty sure there's going to be some characters I have on my list that are going to be universal for most people's lists out there. I also want to mention that in this list, I'm not going to include characters that come from the X-Men or the Fantastic Four, because I think there's probably going to be expansions for those teams that we're going to see in the game down the line. So you're not going to see someone like Wolverine or Mr. Fantastic, although if I were to include that, they'd be very high in my top 10 list, so don't worry about that. But alright, Marvel's Avengers was revealed to us during the Square Enix press conference at E3, and with that, we got 5 playable characters officially confirmed to us during that press conference. Those characters being the main 5 Avengers: Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, Black Widow, and the Incredible Hulk. They also showed off Hank Pym, or Ant-Man as you may know him by his superhero alter ego. However, they didn't really show him as Ant-Man, so I'm not entirely sure if he's confirmed to be playable or what. I'm not entirely sure what the situation is there, although I'd assume he will be playable if they did show him off. It would be a little unfortunate if we get to see Hank Pym in action, but we don't actually get to play as him. And if he does end up playable, I really hope it's not just him with that giant cannon, whatever laser beam thing that he had that just turns things small, because that would be lame. Just give me normal Ant-Man and we'll be cool. So, at number 10 on my list, I got Vision. I think this would be a really cool character to see playable in Marvel's Avengers. He's got an awesome list of powers, and especially has gotten a big boost recently appearing in a lot of the big Marvel Cinematic Universe films, notably Avengers Infinity War and even in Captain America Civil War. So, this character has really been pushed into the limelight. It'd be great to see him show up in Marvel's Avengers just because of all the cool and crazy things that he's capable of, and seeing that character flying around and being able to fly around as him would be awesome. Then up next at number 9, I got Iron Fist. Now, I'll be totally honest, wasn't the biggest fan of the Netflix Iron Fist series, but I still really do think there is serious potential for this character. The martial arts and the superpower that the character has is so badass, so to be able to utilize that and be in control of that in a game would be awesome. I would be all for that. So here's hoping that this does end up true, and there are plenty of other defenders that I do want to include, although I did technically say no team characters, but the defenders have always kind of been their standalone thing, and then they ended up a team similar to what the Avengers were, so I'm not going to really count the defenders as part of the ruling that I had made at the top of the video, and Iron Fist makes it in my number 9 slot. Then at number 8, I got Valkyrie. This is another character that is starting to increasingly grow in popularity because of the character's appearances in the MCU. The character was first introduced in Thor Ragnarok and then later appeared in Avengers Endgame and had a pretty sizable role in that movie, considering she was in none of the marketing for the movie. So that was great, and it's great to see that character show up more and more, and it is a really cool character in the comic books, and it would be amazing if we get to play as her in the game and get the Pegasus to fly around on as the mobility for her. I think that would be awesome. And then of course, seeing her interact with Thor would be great as well. Now, to break the trend of my top 10 list so far, I'm going to pick a character that hasn't really been introduced in mainstream media yet. This is actually a fairly new character in comic books, and that is Kamala Khan, or as known in the comic books right now, Miss Marvel. I think this is a great character who's actually rumored to have a pretty significant role in Marvel's Avengers, and might actually be the female character that we hear doing the voiceover in both the original trailer and the latest trailer that we got revealed to us at E3. Her powers and abilities are really awesome. If you know her from the comic books, she can stretch and do all sorts of crazy things. Of course, she has like the giant fist that she punches people with that you've seen plenty of times if you've seen the character in comic books. And then, of course, she can also shapeshift into people, although I'm not entirely sure how something like that would work in terms of gameplay. But the fact that she can also grow in size or shrink in size would be awesome to play around with. So hopefully she makes it in, because like I said, she has been heavily rumored to be the character behind the voiceovers for both trailers that we got for Marvel's Avengers. Now at number 6, considering that we know that Ant-Man or Hank Pym is going to be in the game in some capacity, he's nothing without his wife, that being Janet Van Dyne, or as she's known as her superhero alter ego, the Wasp. I just want to see the Wasp playable for the same reasons that I would want to see Ant-Man playable. The shrinking abilities, and of course she has the blasters, and she can fly around. All that stuff could come into play and work really well if executed well enough in this game. Alright, now we're getting into the top 5. These are characters that I'm pretty confident in saying are most likely going to be playable in Marvel's Avengers at some point down the line. And I also think that a lot of people are going to agree when it comes to me wanting these characters to be playable. And like I said at the top of the video, most people who are making their own list are going to have 1, 2, or 3 of these characters on their list as well. So at number 5, I got Dr. Stephen Strange. Listen, the powers, the cool things that you can do with Dr. Strange are pretty much limitless. So I can only imagine how awesome this character would be in Marvel's Avengers. Again, if they're executed well, this could be one of the coolest playable characters in the game, and I really, really hope he does end up playable, and I do think that there is a good chance he will. And number 4, we're going back to the Defenders. This is my favorite Defender, the one who had the best Netflix series, and it is an absolute travesty that we will never see a season 4 of, and that is Matt Murdock, Daredevil. This character would be so badass to show up in this game. The martial arts, the hand-to-hand combat, all that stuff would be really fun to play with, especially to showcase the combat in this game. When I got to see the behind closed doors gameplay of Marvel's Avengers at E3, one of the big highlights for me was watching Captain America in action, because that is a character that relies obviously on the shield, but also on the hand-to-hand combat, and that's where I really got to see how fun this game can be when playing as a character like that. So you can take that times 10 with Daredevil, of course, because the character doesn't have that shield. It's just got the billy clubs and both fists to beat the crap out of people with. And plus, the customization for him would be awesome. The different sort of suits or styles that you could wear. I mean, imagine we can get a different costume for Daredevil where he's wearing like the scarf over his head like he did in the Defenders Netflix series. Maybe I'm calling back too much to the live action stuff. I do read comic books, trust me. But I mean, there's some really cool ideas that they've tinkered with the live action stuff that I would love to see show up in the game as well. All right, top 3 time. We're getting to the nitty gritty. This is a character that I feel there may be a little bit of controversy with, but we're just talking about the character and nothing else, that being Captain Marvel. I think this would be a fantastic character to show up in the game. Her powers are really cool. Obviously, she can fly around, and having that mobility is already a plus. So seeing Captain Marvel show up would be great. And again, like I said with Daredevil, the customization would be pretty fun with her as well. Maybe having the different hairstyles would be cool. And overall, I think this would be a good character to show up in the game. Regardless of what you think of the film, just take in mind that it made a ton of money at the box office, and this character is extremely popular now because of that. So for me, it almost seems like a no-brainer for a character like Captain Marvel to show up in this game, whether she's going to be a part of the main roster when the game does come out, May 15th, 2020, or after that. I think she'll show up either way. And the runner-up of characters that I'd like to see playable in Marvel's Avengers. This is a character, again, that I think is a no-brainer, a character that I feel like you're crazy if you disagree with me on this one, and that is none other than the King of Wakanda himself, Black Panther. This is such a cool character. You just cannot deny it. You cannot disagree with me on this one, all right? I know there's opinions, but you're wrong if you disagree. Black Panther is so cool, and his abilities and all the different things that he's capable of can really shine if we, the players, were able to get in the driver's seat of a character like that. So I really hope this character shows up, and above everyone mentioned on this list, Black Panther's customization and the different sort of costumes that you can maybe get, or whatever the customization might be, would be the coolest out of everyone I just mentioned for this top 10 list, and even more so than my number 1 pick. Okay, but speaking of which, what is my number 1 pick? Well, I'm sure most of you guys have guessed it at this point. I think it's fairly obvious. It's the character that everyone has been requesting since this game was finally unveiled, and that is, of course, MODOK. I mean, who doesn't want MODOK in this game? Such a cool character. I know he's sort of a villain, but I think that they could totally make it work. You know, maybe have him show up on the Avengers team and be sort of a double agent. That would be a really fun thing to tinker with and play around with. I think that would be a cool element to the story of the game. Sorry? What's that? Oh. So it wasn't MODOK? Okay, I got you. All right, cool. So I've been told that apparently nobody has requested MODOK to be playable in Marvel's Avengers, and actually the character that everyone wants to be playable is Hawkeye. All right, let's drop the bit. Obviously, Hawkeye is my number 1 pick. This is the character people have been begging to see since this game was shown to us, and yeah, he's gonna be playable. Let's just make no mistake about that. It's already been teased that he'll be playable. I'm sure this character's gonna show up. He's probably gonna be one of the launch characters as well. They just weren't ready to show the character off at E3. And listen, if you're gonna give us Hawkeye, you better give him the Ronin suit as part of the customization, and maybe even like some Ronin-like abilities, like a sword or something. I don't know if that's gonna be how it works, but if it is how it's gonna work, then do that. That would be awesome. But overall, this is a character that I think could work really well based on what I've already seen from Marvel's Avengers. I can already imagine how the gameplay is going to work for this character. Obviously, you're going to be utilizing a bunch of different specialty arrows, and you're probably going to be able to point and aim those arrows and shoot them at different enemies that are in your way. And I hope there's also going to be some hand-to-hand combat involved in there, and I'm sure that there will be, because you're not just going to be able to shoot arrows all day with the character. That would be a little boring and a little lame. But overall, that's it. That's my top 10 list. Let's run it up from the top. At number 10, I got Vision. Number 9, Iron Fist, Valkyrie, Kamala Khan or Miss Marvel, the Wasp, Doctor Strange, Daredevil, Captain Marvel, Black Panther, and MODOK. Or, sorry, Hawkeye. Yeah, that's right, Hawkeye, right? Yeah, okay, cool. But all right, that's my top 10 list. Like I said, it's not the definitive one, so I'm now going to kick it to you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Which characters do you want to be playable in Marvel's Avengers? I want to hear you guys sound off in the comments. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, if you could leave a like rating on it, it shows your support, and I would really appreciate it. I'm Caboose, and you can click on screen to make your way to one of the other videos on the channel, or you can click my logo to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Please follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and like me on Facebook. Those links are in the description. Drop a like if you enjoyed, leave a comment if you have an opinion, and subscribe if you're new. See you guys later.